guarantee the independence of this institution, since this is a public institution? Or do you think that if it was a private, separate from the state, to manage fundings, it will be better? Or do you think that independence is guaranteed, since that's a government department?
No, thank you very much, Prof. I think it's a very important question. There seems to be some disparities between government employees and private sector. I think private sector, because by its nature, it is private sector, private companies are actually established to realize a profit. Now, people that actually work there, they are selected on the basis of high level of competence. So in government, I think we will also be having people with correct qualifications and all of that. I'm just not so sure sometimes whether it's the culture of when you get to government, there's a culture of relaxation, sitting back, and not really having a sense of urgency. And because perhaps of that, even if maybe people would then be appointed on the basis of qualifications, because of the laid-back culture, they would then come in and they just even relax and join the culture. So I think there is a need for us to perhaps begin to say, how do you bring in more people from a private sector who can be able to then inculcate and influence some change in the public sector, so that we can acknowledge and consciously plan interventions that will make a meaningful change, but with people who have got the correct competencies and with the correct culture. So I think if we touch the culture, then we can touch the people. The two put together will then be able to help improved operations in government entities. Yeah, so I think it's because of more of the culture, and I think more of the type of people that are there, or even if they are qualified, they would be relaxed because maybe of the laid-back culture in government.
And another question that is for me very important about, do you have any findings about the gender gap between related to technology education? Because particular for me, that as I'm a labor law professor and I study these things of gender discrimination, when you go to a professional, to the market to get a job, there's a lot of gender gap between men and women related to technology jobs with different salaries. And that's the point. And do you have findings in education, this gender gap in technology education?
So I think the gender gap, you find it in relation to technology. You find it particularly in the rural communities, as well as perhaps township communities, some of the informal settlement areas, and the rural communities. That's where we really would have a lot of gender-related inequality when it comes to technology. But I think in the workplace, I think technology is there. The question could then be, to what extent is technology being utilized across different gender? But ordinarily we do have entities they've got the knowledge of technology, and there's a difference between having that knowledge and embracing and using technology, So, but I don't think that it is related to gender in the workplace per se. But you find that phenomenon of perhaps more women in the rural areas, perhaps even men not really being attuned or fair with technological advancement. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
And I have some question or comment to Adérito about the financial literacy. To ask if you esteem or if you have any kind of programs for schools, for children, for young people about this financial literacy, because this is very important when all the topic that you bring to us, but this should begin in the schools with young people. If you have any program, do you have, or maybe it's, if you don't have, this could be a research that you could begin about this financial literacy for young people, that is going to be the next generation.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Poderia falar em português? Somos eu, academista, também tem uma atividade que a atividade principal que nós implementamos aqui é serviço de comunitário. Baseado com dados de pesquisa que nós fazemos a pesquisa, e depois disso, o que nós fazemos de continuação para este caso. Então, aproveitamos a atividade de serviço comunitário. Nós também dá formação sobre contabilidade básica, também o conhecimento financeiro para as comunidades, as populações que precisamos para treinar deles, para dar o conhecimento sobre como fazer a gestão financeira da família, e por isso, quando recebe o dinheiro de crédito, pode usarmos baseado com os objetivos e plano de orçamento que já prevê. Por isso, e na nossa atividade, ano passado, em 2025, nós fazemos um treinamento para a comunidade que precisam. Por isso, eles recebem muito dinheiro da microcrédito, e microcrédito, depois eles recebem o dinheiro que já recebemos, não usam para a atividade de negócio, mas usam para outras atividades que usam para, por exemplo, cerimônia cultural. Este já não baseia com o plano de orçamento, por isso, porque a atividade de cerimônia cultural, outras atividades que não entram na plano de orçamento do atividades empresa. Por isso, o papel do academista é fazer uma atividade de serviço comunitário para dar um treinamento sobre literacia financeira, como é que nós usamos.
Isso passa nas escolas?
Sim, as escolas também.
As escolas, meninos pequeninos, desde...
Meninos pequeninos, e também, além disso, nós damos para os comunidades, e também nós temos um programa para, além de escola secundária, também pré-secundária. Agora, lá nós chamamos de ensino básico. Sim. Ensino básico. É misturação com ensino secundário, ensino pré-secundário com ensino básico. Por isso, nós também temos a atividade de formação de literacia financeira sobre este caso. Porque este é o benefício da pesquisa. Depois de nós fazermos uma pesquisa, o benefício prático que nós continuamos a traçar um plano para dar o treinamento sobre literacia financeira, sobre contabilidade básica, como é que gerar o dinheiro. Por isso, o dinheiro agora é nosso pano, encontra nosso o dinheiro é muito difícil, por isso tem que fazer o bem plano para a gestão da família e também gestão financeira da família, também gestão financeira da empresa.
Obrigada. And now, just a curiosity for Elizabeth about I understand that you want to improve this, the tourism and the gastronomy experiences in Atauro Island, but do you think that the infrastructures that you have in East Timor are not a barrier to the tourism? Do you think that it's possible to grow more if you do not improve all the infrastructures? Percebeu a minha pergunta? Sobre as infraestruturas que tem Timor-Leste, se isso não é um entrave ao crescimento do turismo?
Sim, bem obrigada. Era uma pergunta interessante, ligando com a nossa situação de agora, em fase de desenvolvimento da infraestrutura, principalmente para a ilha de Atauro, não tem alternativa. Nós temos de usar o gueiro. Então, porque a ilha de Atauro, fora de montanha, fora de sítio de ilha. Por isso, não há alternativa para acesso para a ilha de Atauro, mas só usa o gueiro. E depois, ligando com o nosso programa do governo, agora, todos os infraestrutura em sítios rural, principalmente da ilha de Atauro, está em fase de desenvolvimento. Porque no futuro a ilha de Atauro será a icônia do turismo de Timor-Leste. Por isso, o governo já tem um programa para promover o turismo de ilha de Atauro.
Penso que os problemas que haverá de infraestruturas de eletricidade, de fornecimento de água, de saneamento, de internet, que podem às vezes ser um entrave.
Todos ficam bem, em termos de o acesso de água, o acesso de alojamento. Não fica grande como o supermercado daquela aqui, mas já temos lá, mas não tão grande como aqui, mas é suficiente para facilitar o nosso turístico que ir à ilha de Atauro. Elas também têm a acomodação que com o desenho original, e também elas também têm acesso para a linha de internet e também a eletricidade já tem, porque lá em Atauro tem várias potência ecoturismo que muitos interessantes e muitos turistas que já foi visitou lá em Atauro. Por isso que consideramos que a ilha de Atauro vai ser o nosso potência turismo que desenvolver.
Thank you. So, for Roman, no, was Leon. This was about for. I don't know if you are there, Leon.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. And I have just a question about all the ethic questions for this use of AI, artificial intelligence. And do you think that all these questions related to ethical problems are important here in your research about these liberation through code? Do you have any comments about that ethical questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Today everybody, all of us, we are using artificial intelligence. So using artificial intelligence also has the good side and the bad side. The good side is that today artificial intelligence is becoming like a work assistant to support our work, and also probably to become even like a manager of the company, because artificial intelligence today is placed at the position of decision making in drafting official correspondences, in designing and doing everything. But if we consider generative artificial intelligence, we can see that some aspects, ethical aspects, are not taken into account. Remember the question I asked at the beginning of my presentation about freedom. If the story of our future is written by or supported by artificial intelligence about our freedom. So another aspect is the dignity. Does AI respect the human dignity? Identity. Of course, there was a technical problem with my video. I don't know if you just listened to the sound.
Yes, we listened, but we didn't see.
Sorry, I failed to show the video because of the technical,
Yes,
not
technical
too
problems.
much. Yeah, okay, so the more we use AI, the more we lose that human side, because AI is a machine which controls us. But the ethical side, considering African literature, African view of things, African world view, I illustrated it with the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu means that solidarity, it emphasizes human interconnectedness and the mutual care. The machine is more individualistic than communal. But if we use more AI without considering the ethical aspect of it, I think there is a danger. So my problem in my research is to promote the local knowledge, which means that AI should take into account the local experiences of each community, the local culture. I used Ngugi wa Thiong'o's work, which talks about decolonizing the market, whereby African languages should be used for African AI. If, for instance, in Africa, African culture is based on oral tradition. It means that the former generations transmit to the new generation through oral traditions. Therefore, if AI does not take this into account, if the AI is only built in Western languages like English, like Spanish, like Portuguese, like French, what about those uneducated women who sell fruit at the market, who need also AI to improve their business? So if AI takes into account the linguistic aspect, because I mentioned linguistic justice, AI should not only be built on the Euro-American languages, it should also adapt itself into the African reality in order to satisfy the need of Africans. I think Ubuntu is a concept that calls for communal AI, not individualistic AI. If I can use another example, like in Kenya, they use another concept which is equivalent to Ubuntu, which is Arambe. Arambe means that solidarity. So that is the way Africans view the world, solidarity, which means that my son is our son, is the son of the whole village. If my son wants to go to university in Nairobi, for example, or to Cape Town or Johannesburg, we are going to collect the money. One will bring oil, another will bring a bag of soy, of beans or rice, money for transportation, and we send our son to the village, to the university. When he completes university, he will belong to the whole village. So this is the way I am trying to explore the way AI should be in Africa to respond to the African realities, not to impose. Because if even the language and the cultural aspects of AI based on Euro-American perspective is imposed to Africa, this will be the digital colonialism, and that will support neo-colonialism. So this is how I see AI to resolve African problems. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation and now for your contributions to this debate. And finally, just a question, a very short question to Vu from Australia. And since we are in Portugal, this conference is taking place in Portugal, that it's a very small country, but according to international law, with a huge sea territory. So despite this is a very small country, we have a lot of territory in terms of the sea, and according to international law and sea law. And since you talk about the U.S. maritime security strategy, and I would like to ask you do you think that it's important, and more than important, that it's possible, and which results could we have about the cooperation between United States and Europe in terms of this maritime security and in terms of the sea that we have between us, between Europe and the United States, since we are here in Lisbon. And just if we look in front of us, we have New York, for example, and we have this sea that is between Europe and United States. And do you think that it's cooperation in terms of security strategies are possible, and which results would we have?
Thank you for your question. And yeah, as you said, Portugal, though it's a small in the land, but for the sea power, since in the very early country, like Portugal is always like a great sea power, I have to say. But maybe currently it's not as strong as America or Russia or China as the economy entity, but Portugal or the Europe are still very great sea power, as I thought. And for the cooperation between the Europe and America, I have to say Europe is like the allies. So as I said in the presentation, the allies of the America, including Europe or the other countries like where I am here, like in Australia or the other Southeast Asia countries. These countries are in kind of the dilemma as the kind of like the middle power dilemma. I would say they are suffering from are forced by the United States to choose one side between the China and America, because obviously I think Europe can gain many economic benefits from Chinese side, but currently what I can see from the European policies is like that the leaders want to keep the balance between the two sides, but if the United States use this integration strategy to ask the cooperation with, the cooperation maybe is not that equal for the two sides. Obviously, the cooperation has to focus on the American benefits, their interest. That is the priority than the European benefits or interest. That is like it's a little like Europe have to sacrifice part of their interest, like the economic issues, to reduce the cooperation with the Chinese side to get more security ties with America. And for Europe, a good lesson I would say is AUKUS. So in Australia now, for the public, many of my classmates or the professors here, they would say against to AUKUS, because AUKUS has already conducted for like 2 or 3 years, and Australia pay a lot of money to buy the submarine from United States, but obviously the submarine is not that worthwhile. So it's like some people just call it like afford a lot to buy industrial rubbish. That is very ridiculous for the domestic economy here. Because after the COVID, Australia did not recover very good as many countries in the global. So the economy here is not very good, but we still have paid a lot to buy the industrial rubbish from the United States and have to security tie with them, but have to reduce because China would feel the threat from the Australia to say like you are threatening Chinese security in the Indo-Pacific here, so maybe decreasing the cooperation. For the economic cooperation with Australia. So it's quite a dilemma. It's for the Australia now. So maybe that might be the future of the Europe if Trump asks for more tighter cooperation with the Europe, like Portugal. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contributions. I don't know if you online, if you have any comments, any questions to. No. So I ask the same question here. If you have here any questions, any comments to each other.
I thank you very much. I can't hear Portuguese properly, but I had my translate. So I was interested in the two presentations, but I think on the financial part you asked a question that helped me. So on the island, I just wrote here, Prof, that I think our colleague was she looking at one island, Tauro, or different islands? Yeah, Tauro. And then what is the most attractive aspect of that particular island? I know that you spoke about indigenous and local production, but I wanted some clarity as to whether what is positioning that particular island, that island is positioned by localizing its products, or is there any other factors that maybe are influencing the attractiveness of that island for tourists?
The adjectives to express the island the main adjective is partly about the ecotourism. The ecotourism that
Ecotourism.
that can attract the tourists. Then the second one is the coral tourism that I have
For
so
diving.
yeah in the so lot of the tourists even the international tourists or local tourists they may propose to visit in that island because of the biodiversity, ecotourism and the coral tourism. So the problem is about the culinary. So the culinary, they have a very many recipe to develop their own culinary. Even they have the origin food. That's why I have an idea to explore more the local food in their Iceland to create a new recipe as their main recipe to offer for the community there to promote the local food. That's where we can help them to attract the tourists.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have any question. Just one short question for Professor.
From it.
Yeah. About the diversity of the religions. Very, very interesting. Here, so I have been to other countries like Korea, ASEAN, Korea, China. They're very individualistic related to the religious. So in here, Portugal, consider all the religions that exist in this country and how to consider it.
Here in Portugal, I think that we have a very high level of tolerance between all of the religions. But now, in the recent months, I think that it's growing a movement, a party that it's trying to put some discrimination in certain nationalities, and this is a problem because I think that this movement is growing, and we must pay attention to this because traditionally Portugal is in fact a very tolerant country where every religion could be together, and in terms of government we have inter-religious group promoted by the government precisely to promote this kind of tolerance. But nowadays it's growing all over the Europe, this kind of movements against immigrants, against other religions. So it's a problem. Let's see what is going to happen in the near future. Yes.
Prof, is there, just a follow-up, is there a dominant religious group here?
Yes, it's Catholic Church, yes. In a very high level.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We do find the same, I think, in South Africa as well. Christianity is dominant, and obviously Catholicism is quite high, and then you've got other, yeah. But I think also the tolerance is quite good of different religions, but we still find that Christianity is quite dominant, with the Catholic or Catholicism leading the Christianity pack. Okay.
But my perspective is always related to the workplace. So
Yeah.
the problems that could emerge in the workplace. Since the society is more pluralistic, more multicultural, this is going to have reflections in the workplace. So No more questions. Do you want to close the sessions?